Hello, everyone. Welcome to the awesome day of FileMaker Training. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of FM Training at TV, where every day we are doing great things with the FileMaker platform. We're learning about it. It's pretty awesome. I am here today at Claris headquarters in Sunnyvale, California. We tend to be here on Thursdays because it's one of their days where they all work in the office here. Lots of exciting things happening in the world of FileMaker. I'm working to bring these to you and get them all scheduled. One of the things I do down here is to make sure that we're all on the same page for this stuff. Moving along today to FileMaker, which is an awesome product. Actually, Margaret, you can share yours for the moment. Keep sharing yours.
Oh,
Let's take
okay.
a look at
Yep.
the upcoming broadcast schedule real quick. So I wanted to clarify a minor thing today. So one of the things that came up was this idea of we have a bunch of you who are fairly, I want to say fairly new to FileMaker, fairly new being that you don't have 34 years of combat experience, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. My job in life, and I had to articulate this to Claris again today, my entire job in life is to help bring new people in and make them better. So if you're a beginner, I make you a super beginner, a power junior, or an intermediate developer. If you're intermediate, I help move you towards being an advanced intermediate or maybe a senior developer. I'm just trying to move everyone along. A lot of this conversation, I have a lot of things to share with you. Some of you will remember things that I've forgotten, and you can remind me, like, hey, Rich, you can do that way. It's better, right? Even yesterday, we were coding some stuff. Was it yesterday? Yesterday was a long time ago. I don't remember even what yesterday was, but there was a day where I was talking to you folks and I had some errors in the script and we were pointing that out. And so you get to see me make a mistake and then how I test it and triage it. One of the things I learned is that just doing really fast, coding demos, and then doing it perfect the first time, and people don't see the errors, the mistakes, the triaging, because half of the job in being a good professional, anything, especially in coding, you're gonna make mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you're probably not really coding. You're gonna make code errors. You're gonna think it works. Then we test it. It's you always get in this trap of not testing your stuff. It happens to everyone. You got to put the time in for that. But I test it on screen, then you get to watch me remediate it, right? So really great stuff. So one of the topics we've been talking about a lot. This is the schedule right here. Real quick. So today is this idea of converting a spider into anchor-buoy. We're going to talk about this. We're going to do kind of one scenario. I have verbally walked through this before. Margaret thought it would be worthwhile to kind of graphically walk through it and do it again. I derive a lot of value from when you folks give me feedback, even stupid Ruben frog stuff, whatever, hey, David Angel. All that's great. I don't mind it. But the new people telling me what they get stuck on and they don't understand, or then they learn something super helpful for me. And if anyone ever wants to know, well, how do we, appreciate what you're doing? I would simply say purchase one of the training bundles. So once again, if you go to fmtrain.tv up here, if you scroll up just a bit, you can see the live tab right here. Those are tabs. Those records at the bottom right there across from left to right are actually records out of FileMaker. It's reading data straight out of FileMaker, putting them on a web page. This is not instant or web direct. I was going to say instant web publishing, which is even before that. But yes, not web direct. This is actual PHP, DAPI, that kind of stuff. Legit code stuff. Live training right there. We have some Claris FileMaker courses, but the best way to get the courses is to buy one of the bundles. We don't really sell the courses individually anymore because we have too damn many courses. So you can buy you can have a happy meal, and then you can supersize it with French fries. And then if you want it like jumbo size, like a 32-ounce thirst buster with your favorite soda in there, whatever, water, adult beverages for all of you who are, even though it's Thursday, it feels like Friday to start going for it now. Start the weekend early, right? And on the right is the supersize. So we appreciate it. This is how we support the channel and support everything else. So the progression of learning is such an important thing. So I don't do this every time. And if some of you are confused on what I'm presenting on for the day, like what level is this? Or is this like super triple ninja? Or is it like brand new person? A lot of you like butterflies and bugs and people like that. A lot of you hang out and you hear, or you hang out and you hear, or you hang out in the in-between spot here. I tend to hang out right through here personally. I don't get super deep over here just because I don't have the hours in the day to do all this. And if we have something in there, then we bring someone else in there. 95% of the FileMaker community lives in here. Okay. That's 95%. Brand new people, intermediate people. That's right in here is everyone. Up here, this last little group, like your top people that are like the Klaus Levents and the Monkey Bread guys and Todd guys that went to court and all these sort of Chris Moyers. This group right here is about 5% of the community, if that. This block right here is 95% of the Claris customer base. That's you. That is you here on the show. So I want to understand that you might feel like I'm all alone, right? I understand that. You're not alone. I'm here with you, along with everyone else in the live stream. So welcome. So moving forward on that. So over here, I want to clarify something that came up that someone was asking me about because my SEO person was a little confused. I hadn't really fully thought it out. So two things we've been beaten on lately, and they have very similar thought processes. One is a mechanical thought process for writing scripts. Once again, I keep saying this, I keep repeating it because a lot of people miss this. The whole idea is, how do I write a script? Well, we're going to pretend a coworker needs to be able to do something. They call you on the phone. It's oral, verbal, phone call only, audio only, as we say. And they ask you how to solve some problem, specific problem in FileMaker, and you verbally walk them through how to do it. Go to this layout, do this fine, sort by this, go to this layout, then print this and make a PDF and then drag this over here and do this. If you can do that, you can write a script. Anchor-buoy is a mechanical thought process as well. It absolutely is. I hadn't started using the words mechanical thought process, but the whole idea is like when you're in school and you're learning algebra, if any of you have ever did this, and it got to when you first saw this, you're like, holy shit, this is crazy. And I was always pushing on the teacher to get like a mental thought process to follow. And some of the teachers I had in high school in algebra sucked. Some of them were good, but they couldn't handle the question on my back. Like, why are we doing this? Like I always ask when people come on the show, why are you here and why should I give it? And I've been asking that question since I was like 15 or 16 years old, right? Why are we solving this equation and why should I give it? And the people who can answer that question, teaching math or teaching programming, are the true people who can help us understand. And so the mechanical process is what we call plug and chug kind of mental process. If you follow it, if you follow this process, then you can code this. If you follow the anchor-buoy mental or mechanical thought process, mechanical, step one, do this, step two, do this. Don't skip step two. One, two, three. I want to skip step four. No, don't skip that. If you do it and you force yourself to follow these things, then it all makes sense. And down the road, you won't have to. I like the creativity. I want to do it my way, right? Well, it's like let's do a mechanical process first. Step one, step two, step three, step four. Only now, when I got older, do I appreciate what algebra does and I use it to solve problems all the time. But back when I was 16, it was like, what is this? Why should I give it? And now that I understand the depth of what it does, I can appreciate it. I don't have to do the mechanical thought process anymore for that. But if you're beginning, you're trying to get your way through it, just follow the mechanical thought process. You will have success. And as you start to manage this and start to have more success, so you're generating success, customers, your employer, people value what you're doing, you feel good about yourself, then you can learn more about it and then maybe say, well, Richard kind of confined me this, but I want to be kind of more creative, feng shui, right? And it's fine, right? My job is to get you to that first level of success, right? We're clear on that. So today is one of those kind of conversations. Margaret, if you have questions, you need to inject and ask the question, okay?
Yes.
I'm on a little bit of a monologue, but I think it's valuable to understand what the hell we're doing. So this is a sample file that was submitted to us a while back. And I'm not going to call the person out. They submitted to us to review, to do some stuff on it with Nick. Nick ended up not using it. However, it will solve the problem for today. So someone built a piece of software that has to do with auction. None of you are going to get this software. It's not yours to have. And what I'm showing you today is nothing that will do you any good. Today I'm teaching you is the mechanical thought process. Okay. So remember we talked about scripts. Can you explain to someone on how to do a script? Okay, then. And then we're going to go through a script and do that. Today is the same thing. Once again, kind of with this anchor-buoy conversation. So I'm going to click on this. If I go File, Manage, Database in the future, today I'm going to be using my keyboard, I'm going to use my three-finger keyboard shortcut, Command-Shift-D or Command-Control-D if you're on a Windows machine. And this is the relationship diagram. Now, this is not the worst can of I've ever seen, but it's a spider that's on the way to being bad because it's connecting all this stuff and connecting all this stuff and connecting all this stuff, and it goes over here and goes over. They get worse from here, but let's just pretend this is, I mean, for a brand new person, this is horrifically intimidating. Okay. So just to be clear on that, it's horrifically intimidating. And so say that you have not this many, but there's more, even more connected. Remember, so just understand something. A layout is attached to a table occurrence. So a layout over here, if I go, when I hit cancel, discard, change that, and make any change. I go to invoice. This layout, if I go to layout mode, is attached to table invoice. Once again, this is Claris grossly mislabeling something. Okay. I can't say enough that this is wrong. Wrong. Okay. Absolutely wrong. Okay. That's table occurrence. It's not the base table. But the problem is you can't tell because when this solution was initially set up, there was no numbering of the table occurrences, right? And once again, I'm not picking on the person. I think the person submitted the file to us saying, hey, I inherited this file from someone else. I have to support it. How do I make it better? Right? Or maybe it was the person's first time and then they watched us and realized, oh my God, do things better. So a couple things you would want to do initially would probably be to number these things because he's talking to a table occurrence called invoice. I'm pretty sure that this layout is attached to this. This table occurrence is attached to the base invoice table, right? Pretty straightforward. So invoice layout talks to an invoice table occurrence with a bad name. There's no L number over here, identification number. There's no identification number over here. And you can have multiple layouts with exactly the same name. Can you have two table occurrences with exactly the same name? I'm thinking probably not, but let's just try that. So there's invoice. Can I do an identical one? Oh,
No, it just auto renamed it for you. It said, yeah,
that
sure,
what
you
just
could do
happened?
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was very, my,
It like you made the mistake, but it fixed it for you before it actually
but it
occurred.
didn't tell me it did it. It didn't tell me it did it. I was like, did I just not do that? Try
It's
that
like a
again.
mom cleaning up after you when you make a mess on the floor.
Yeah, it's like when we, yeah, your 2-year-old poo-poos the wall, and then we have to come and clean it up. Yeah. So the issue is I'm going to remove this one. I removed it. So this belongs to that. This belongs to the base table. You can only really see the base table represented here. These are where the base tables were. They're not really represented anywhere else as a kind of a general rule from our perspective. These are the base tables. So there's once again invoices. Well, let me sort by name. There's invoice right there. Okay. So the person so let's just pretend this is Juan's file. Juan comes to me and says, Richard, I've been watching your videos about anchor-buoy, and I'm starting to have a slow solution because say that it's not, because he's got probably 12 connections here. It's not bad, but I've got all of them are cross connected, and a layout this layout here, in order for it to display, comes to here, and then it has to load all the connections. Listen to what I just said. This will inform why we're doing it this way. This layout right here called invoice is getting its data from invoice table occurrence. Okay. And in order for this to display quotes in FileMaker, displaying quotes, it has to resolve every little line that's connected to it. Well, what if you have 100 lines? It's got to do 100 things. Well, that might be slow. No, that's why we don't want to have 100 things connected to it, right? So that's the whole idea. So I'm not casting dispersions upon someone. When I built solutions initially, we just connected at everything, okay? But as you get into a solution where you might want to have more control power, you have to limit this. So some of you have called, Jess was one of these people. A bunch of you have taken jobs where this was waiting for you. So the idea is, how do we convert from a spider diagram to FileMaker? So I've explained why it's a problem. I've explained we have a mechanical process. And so here's what we're going to do. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to close out of this. I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to say, don't save any changes, discard changes. I'm going to come over to this layout right here. I'm going to say duplicate layout. Okay. And what I'm going, so it duplicates the layout. So it's still attached to the same base table or same table occurrence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, this is this other old system in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create the new super duper upgraded solution. So we're going to start. So I'm going to call this, say that there's a table occurrence TO1 there, TO2 here, TO3, TO4. I'm just going to start this at T10. So I'm going to say T10 anchor buoy invoice AB. That way that's the way we know what it is, right? I'm going to come over and say it's like size 24. Okay. So we have this on here. All this is a label, like a sticky note with a label. Then I'm going to come over to invoice and I'm just going to say duplicate that table occurrence. Okay. So I come down here and I'm going to double click this and we're only going to do one of these, but here we go. T10 underscore invoice. And I'm just going to put AB on it, on that. So that's the table occurrence. So you're like, right? And then you say, okay, it saves, it changes. Then I'm on this new copy over here. I'm going to go to layout setup and I'm going to tell it that, well, we're going to show records from, and see this right here? Show records from, these are table occurrences in here again. Once again, it doesn't say what these are. You're going to use your telepathy and telepathic powers, right, to know what that is.
I didn't really process that it was showing records from table occurrences and not directly from the table.
Yeah, it's showing them through that context. And so, that's part of the problem. If these had T's on them for table occurrences, like T's there, then you'd understand what these are. But this is like you can have a layouts with identical names. Like I had a customer said, our print label layout isn't printing correctly on the printer. It goes off the edge of the label. Fine, totally cool. Come in there. They have 4 layouts with the name print label. 4 layouts. The script tells me it's going to do one. I have no idea without reverse engineering and slowly backing through it to understand which layout is even affected. That's why we name and number things. Okay. So we've got multiple issues here. So we're going to kind of correct them as we go. So we're going to call the layout name is going to be called L whatever. I'm just going to call it L200. I'm going to say invoice. And then once again, I'm going to put AB on this. We know it's part of the kind of the A design for the AB. Then I'm going to come over here and see that's all screwed up except for the one we started to number, right? So we're going to attach to that. Then what you have to understand is all this broke. This is not something you do in 5 minutes, but this is what you have to do if you want to clean it up. So then what you have to do is you have to go in here and you have to build this, right? So I'm going to have this layout here. I'm going to pop a new window over here, and I'm going to get rid of this and this so it's so much smaller. And what I want to do is I'm going to compare the previous, so it's invoice copy. That's not a great name. I have not changed there's that one. All right, let me go. I
What happened?
renamed it here, but it's not coming up over here. So if I rename something over here and it's not coming up over here, what has happened? What hasn't happened? I renamed it
It
over
hasn't
here.
refreshed.
What's that?
It hasn't refreshed. But I don't know why it wouldn't.
Hasn't refreshed. I don't think
Oh,
it's saved yet because I was in layout mode.
oh, you
Layout mode
haven't
goes,
actually gone to browse mode. Okay.
okay, so over here we see invoice copy. I'm going to go to browse mode right here. I'm going to come over here.
There we go.
So not only do layouts only save when you go back to browse mode, but if you make any other layout specific setting changes, right, it only goes at browse mode. It only saves the server. Then the server gets it and redistributes to everyone who might see this. In our case, FileMaker, it changed here in the local copy of FileMaker, either was notified by server that this changed. Because remember, each of these windows here, as far as FileMaker server is concerned, are really almost like separate clients. They're treated very separately. Okay. They're on your computer. I understand that, but really at the end of the day, they have their own little different found sets, different source states. The server knows it's on the same machine, but really they're kind of independent. Okay. So just keep that in mind. So this is the one that theoretically works over here. Now notice it says file missing over here. But so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to pretend I know what to assign these to. I'm going to go to the table occurrence I had, which was T.
Current table. Yep. Okay.
I'm just going to go to a bidder. Let's see, bidder name, payment type. I could create a field right here real quick. I got a field. I'll say name 1, create that, and name 2 or whatever. I'm just going to create both of those. I'm going to say, okay, I'm just going to arbitrarily assign these. That makes sense. So they have assignments in here. The reason those are shown up as broke is this is a multi-file solution. We're only looking at the one file. I'm not going to get into it because people are like, well, let's talk about multi-file solutions. I said, this is not a 5-hour live stream, right? So we're going to think about trying to do more of a multi-file solution conversation. But anytime that you add multi-file to a conversation like this that we're having right now, That's why I like single files. It makes it a lot worse. I mean, we could have a conversation on consolidating multi-file to single file. I think most people are going to find that it's probably the juice isn't worth the squeeze. If you heard that phrase before.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
not worth the pain and agony of
so
doing.
this one's over here. So we got name. I'm just going to assign these, right? But that's not really the part that I'm super concerned about. So here's the deal. So this right here, this layout, I go back to browse mode to save it, go back to layout mode. I go Command Shift D, Delta for design database. The original one is over here attached to this messy mess over here, messy mess. The new one is over here. Now, how do I know what to connect to it? We only connect to it what we need to support the layout. So the first thing I see is a portal over here. Okay. I see this portal right here. I'm going to come over here onto this layout right here. Of course, I have field definitions over here. I'm going to go ahead and say whatever. Okay. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to take a look at this portal. Now it looks there's tabs in here. There's three. Okay. So there's three in this tab are three. Each tab has its own portal. I'm willing to bet that the relationship that drives that is different. Okay. But let's start with the first one. So I'm going to double click it and it's attached to show the records from invoice line items. Okay. So show the records from invoice line items. I come back over here, show the records from invoice line. So here is invoice line items. I'm thinking that's the one. Once again, if you went through here and numbered all these before you started this, it'd probably make your life a little easier because you would know that you're looking at TO5A or TO5B or TO5C. So before you start de-spidering your spider diagram, number all the miscreants in here correctly, right? So at least you can reference them, right? So I'm going to look at this. It's a relationship. Okay. I clicked the wrong thing. I want that box right there. It's a ZZ invoice ID, ZZ invoice ID, foreign key, everything off is down here. Okay. So what I know is that to support this portal, I need to put a relationship in here. So I'm going to add a relationship to invoice line items. It's going to be over here. Okay. I'm going to call it, for now, I'm not going to get into all the fancy naming. I'm just going to say it's T10A. Okay. It's invoice LI and it's based upon well, I said I wasn't doing it. I'm properly doing it. So invoice line item and then based upon the ID.
ID.
Is it ID invoice? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think so.
So this is the name of the table that drives it. This is the name of the field for the relationship, if you care. The most critical part is that and that. From the rest of it, you can kind of deduce what's going on and figure it out. So that's on there. Okay. Then we're going to connect. So notice right here, I put the name in here, invoice ID. That's the relationship. The relationship's not set up yet. I just provided a name that will tell me what's in the relationship without digging into the relationship, right? So if I go to over here to invoice, is it ZZ invoice ID? I think it was ZZ invoice ID.
Yeah.
Start seeing ZZ and all these other things. It was originally developed by someone who saw some. I try not to get ZY, ZG, all this sort of stuff. As long as you have a naming convention, you like it, and you're happy with it, that's great. I just don't like to use anything quite that crazy. So let me come over here. I'm looking for ZZ probably or Z something invoice ID foreign key. Okay. So
There you
this
go.
one is going to touch to that one right there. Okay. And it didn't go. Let me try it again. There it goes. So this name right here, that right there is telling me what's connected right there. That's all that is. So it's a little, so that way if I see this, I don't have to open the little box to read it. It should be self-evident. So now I built the first one, right? So hit okay. Come back over here to this. Oh, this is the original one. We don't want to monkey that one up. I want to come over to this one right here. I'm on the first tab, double click it. I'm going to select, there we go. Oh my God, right? So then you just come over here and you start. What FileMaker tries to do is if you jump to this other table occurrence, the TOT10A, it's going to try to remember the name right here. So watch that name right there. It's catalog. FK is not, it's foreign key, right?
I do keep thinking that whenever I see it.
I see that. I'm like, not safe for live stream. All right, go here. Notice it found it and it preserved it. So that was something Claris had at one point. Didn't always used to do that, right? So I have another field here.
So I have a question,
Yeah.
which I just processed and realized. It's even because the relationship still exists for the original invoice to the original line items. And then, but
Drives the layout
T10,
on the left. I get all that. Yeah.
but T10 doesn't see it because it's not attached to that particular table
Yeah,
occurrence
so
until
then
you
it
edit
doesn't
it.
evaluate.
Interesting. Okay. Because it's not working with the actual tables, it's working with table occurrences. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, so you see what I'm doing here. I'm just moving.
Yes.
Then I'm at to fix the scripts and other stuff like that. But this is how you go through your existence and fix this stuff. And you're going to fix the buttons, you fix the scripts, whatever you're going to want to do. You're going to have, if this was a script over here, whatever script this is, okay, stop. Go number all the scripts. Just go number all the scripts. Once again, number the scripts. Please number the scripts. And then you could duplicate and have, because you're not going to, because the whole point, here's the whole point of this, is that your users are still using the old one. You cannot break it. You're building, it's like I live in a house. The house is a pile of house, but I have hired construction people to build me a new house. Okay, where are you going to live before they finish building it? Well, we're living in the old house. Well, the construction people are not going to come over and disassemble walls and part of the roof and move them because that would up your current house. So you're building the new house totally separately from the old house. New house and old house won't be.
Got it.
That'll
So,
be the similar between them will be the base table.
so when you despider, you have to make all new layouts so you don't mess up. Then you'll just swap it out when everything's actually done, so people don't
It's all
realize the
done.
change
Yeah,
even happened.
that's all we're doing. So then you come over to this layout right here, and this is the essential part. So once again, if I go to the this over here, when I hit that layout is attached here. For it to display, all it has to do is grab this data and then evaluate all the connections. Well, there's one connection. Well, there's about to be two. This one, if we come to this one, it has to evaluate all of them. Even if you didn't need, even like say, for example, you have this over here. Well, I'm over here on this thing and I don't need it to evaluate the reports. Well, guess what? It's connected. It's going to evaluate it. It's not a negotiation, right? I try to explain this to Alex sometimes, one of my Alex, my kid, Margaret's brother. And as people start to argue about stuff, and I'm like, dude, it's physics. It's like hot stove, burn hand. I don't like that. Okay, fine. Military history. The Russians, they have this thing called objective reality. Objective reality is what most people would call the truth, objectively the truth, right? So, for example, the objective truth in the Ukraine for the Russians right now is that they haven't won and it's questionable what's going to happen. And that's objective truth. Non-objective truth is that we're marching on Kiev, which was the original name of it, okay, Kiev, and we're about to take it over any day. There's wishful thinking. There's objective reality. Well, I don't want it to process these. Tough, Jose. Okay, it's going to do it. So if you don't like it, then disconnect it. But if I disconnect it here, click, it's not going to process it anymore. Correct. However, somewhere else, if it needs that, you just broke it. That's part of this process. Okay. So we got that. We hit cancel, discard changes. I'm going to come over to portal 2. I'm going to double click this one. Show records from unknown. Perfect. Okay. That's probably a related file. Purchase tickets. Double click. Show records from unknown. Okay.
I think it's. Is there a tickets table if you pull that up? Yeah, there is tickets. Well, there's tickets meals.
I'm thinking tickets is a nice.
Invoice. There's also invoice tickets. So
But
there's
the point is that you're going to go through the same process of putting T10P, Bravo, right? We all follow that. So if this is T10, this drives, for whatever reason, this connects to invoice tickets related, right? He actually whoever built this put the word related. That's a bonus. Thank you. Right over here, this one is invoice tickets. I don't know. I could go to field definition. I'm pretty sure that if I go to invoice, there's tickets right there, invoice tickets. So it sounds like it's probably connected to tickets. The problem is, it's disconnected over here. I'm looking at the wrong one. Margaret, would you please?
Oh, I was confused. I thought I was trying to go yeah.
Stop. So the problem is I'm looking at the one we already broke. It should be broke. This one over here is the one we left. This is the old house where we still live today. All our users are still here. So everyone, if I do something stupid, please stop me from doing something stupid. That would be really great. Thank you for your cooperation. Invoice tickets related, and then this one is related. I don't want to relate, and I got invoice tickets. So let's just do the third one for now.
Wait. That's
this
never
one
mind.
says related, which I'm thinking is a multi-file one. Okay. I mean, let's just go here, go to field relations. So I got invoices. That one is that one. Invoice tickets release.
That's
Oh, I
related.
think that's
No, he made
oh no,
two
it's in
different.
the same system. Okay, so what we're gonna do, this will be B, right? So let's
Hmm.
put that down here. So I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna say, I say create a new table occurrence. It's gonna be invoice tickets.
The base table is tickets.
Sorry.
No, the naming scheme needs
That's why you need numbers. So there's tickets. Okay, so
yeah.
here's tickets. I was hauling on the freeway today. I did not get a ticket.
Congrats.
Not for the lack of trying, however, on my yeah,
Uh,
pretty excited. So it was warp 9 on the freeway to get to Claris. So then so we come over here. Well, okay, let me go back up here and see what the relationship is. So it's going to be allow created on this side. Okay, Mark, you can write this down. Oh, this is okay. I'm gonna take a screenshot in case we need it. I don't really have room. So Mark, can you write this down? So it's ZZ
yeah.
invoice ID to attendance ID to
It's foreign key. It's foreign key.
foreign key. I just put a little appeal. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come down here and do. Oh, it's this one right here. What was the one on the left? Margaret, what was the one on the left?
The left was ZZ invoice ID. So down at the bottom, there you go.
There. Are you sure?
Yep. Yes.
It goes to this one right here.
Yes.
And then if you bring up the relationship, then it also had allow creation on it. So there you go. But this one doesn't have a good name. We always want a good name. So it's going to be, what is this, everyone? What is it? Say it out loud to me. One, two, three together. T,
10 B.
B as in Bravo or Beaver,
Yes.
whatever you
Yes.
want to do. Okay.
Take it.
Underscore, vertical pipe or something. And then it's going to be
It's ID invoice, but it's connected to attendance. So I don't know what you'd
ID
do with that.
voice. I don't know how the system works, so I'm not going to do that. But mechanically, I don't really technically have to know how it works. If I follow this very carefully and I follow this formula carefully, you could do it. The problem is for you to QA test it, you really kind of need to know how it works, although you could compare it against up here. So there's that. So that one's done.
Hmm.
Hit OK, save the change.
So which one was that attached to?
It was the second one. So there's a
Okay.
second one right here. Double click the portal. Unknown. But we want T2B. Look how nicely organized. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Okay, so then you're going to go in here, double click these fields. It's going to say, well, that's the old one, but I'm just going to move it to the correct table occurrence group, and it's going to guess the correct name. Boop. And there it is. And of course, I'm not fixing the scripts, but the script's fixing it to duplicate the original script, right? And then you're going to make adjustments and then so once again we leave the old script included, we build a new script. Before you do that, you'd want to number all the scripts so you don't get them inadvertently confused. Yeah, here's perform script, right? Not going to get into that too deeply. There's the field right there. That is a grouped object when you see that. So it's two items in there. The little lines right there show that you dug inside a grouped object. Come over to objects. You're in the portal and you're in this grouped item right here. And inside the grouped item is a edit box and also probably the button is the script and inside's the edit box. Then you can have beef, salmon, or veg. All right. So is everyone bored as hell? Because this is
We have questions actually.
Well,
So
questions are fantastic. So because basically at this point it's 141. I'm done. I've demonstrated what I verbally discussed before. Oh,
should you try to match the layout number with the table occurrence number?
Brooks was trying to do this. I don't know if this is a Brooks question or not. I don't because the layouts are numbered in order like 201, 202, 203, 204, so you can find them. The T's are organized at table occurrence group TOG, that's a TOG, TO1, TO2, TO3, TO4. You could put in here as part of this, I'd put it on the right side somewhere. Maybe it's L attached to L53 or something. The rub is if we resequence layouts and stuff periodically, they'll, because we're working and we'll regroup things, the numbers get resequenced, which means that, or the table occurrences get resequenced because what I try to do when we're doing table occurrences is, I'm not sure what that is about. That was field, that's something not quite right with that. If I got a field occurrences right here, but what happens is that like right here, the streams cross right here. A lot of times I will try to move things in such a way where the streams don't cross. Hang on. It's like Ghostbusters reference. I mean, being serious. What I'll do is it makes it easier to see it. And so what happens if you start off with this was A and this was B, then I'm going to straighten all the stream crossing crap out. Like, where's this one fit? So that one fit like right there, right? A, B, C. But if it would start off as A and B or whatever, I would renumber the A, B's, and C's, right? So that I can find it. Part of the deal with numbering stuff is the fact that A, the numbers are unique. So you know you actually have the right one. Two is to be able to find it. So the layouts are in a sequential number. The togs are this is table group one, this is table group two, then you got A, B, C, D. So you can find the stuff. So if you put the TO into the layout name, it can't be the leading part. It's you're going to defeat the purpose of it. I understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I've never made that work for me personally. If you understand the concepts of what I'm saying of why you want to number stuff, one that you can uniquely identify invoice layout, right? And clearly it won't let you have more than one table occurrence with the word invoice on it. Those names are kind of protected, but A, they're unique, and two, you can find it when you want to find it. If that makes sense. Those are kind of essential things.
Yes. Your
Question.
next question.
Probably a broken question. It was a good question.
Reassigning the fields to look at the new TO is easy, even if you've touched them all. But what about merge fields? Are there any shortcuts to easily reassigning merge fields?
I would do the first one. If you had a whole bunch of them, I would do the first one, kind of redo it. Then I would copy the text because the field is the same, but the relationship on the left side is true. So if you had two or three of them or five of them, you kind of do the first one by hand, then you copy paste because it's just text, right? Remember merge fields, layout,
Oh, what, you
LTO.
just copy like the new side of it and then copy it through? Okay, that would make sense.
I
Uh,
mean, let's just be clear. Doing this is like cleaning the toilet. It's not fun. I didn't promise a live. I try to be entertaining in a live stream as much as I can to keep it entertaining for people. That being said, doing this job in general, it's fun to create from scratch, from new and solve processes. All you're doing, the reason you're doing this is one of two things. One, the system's so complex and confusing because it's not numbered, you don't know where to go. One issue. Second issue is that you're going to have performance problems with lots of users over a wide area network if you have one spider diagram that has hugely negative performance implications if you really connect everything to everything and you've got a decent sized system.
yes. Question from Butterflies and Bugs. What level did Richard think this was aimed at? Wondering how badly off I really am.
I would say this is a legit intermediate thing. I mean, because I understand you're overwhelmed. So let's talk to butterflies and bugs. I mean, she's clearly feeling overwhelmed. I would love. I wish she was audio on here. I could have her ask questions, right? So let me go through this again. So fundamentals of this. One. So how did we even come to the point of this was an issue? Okay, we built a solution. This was the layout over here. We're using it. The two problems you're going to have is one, this is a kung fu mess. So if you have a layout or a table occurrence graph where it's not numbered and it doesn't make sense to you, okay, then that's a clue that you need to clean up. But if the performance is fast and the customer's happy, then by redoing the numbering, you're going to help your development go faster or help another developer who might come behind you go faster. Not that most developers for the most part, never give a about the person coming behind him. It just is. Okay. But I'm trying to just say that if you want to make it easier for yourself, someone says, I really want to add a address label, blah, 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 blah. If it's numbered, you know where to find it. The customer says, I have a problem on a layout. And you say, what layout are you on? And they look at the top and they can see the little layout indicator somehow. And they say, I'm at L541B. And then you know where they're at. Super simple. So there's all sorts of benefits to having it numbered. However, so organization is one, knowing how to develop and build. You can make changes faster, you can triage faster. However, having a spider diagram and continuing to add data to it and records to it and users to the system will cause a performance drop off. That's when it becomes painful to the people who pay your salary, however that's done.
And that's kind of when it hits intermediate level, right? When you begin caring about that.
Yeah. Most beginners don't have. I mean, they have 5 users and they build it however, and they're just thrilled it works. Okay, but the idea here is that it's if we talk about the progression of learning, which is right here. So let's talk about this real quick. This is for I put this on here so people understand that there's a owner or manager who wants it to work. They don't give it. I mean, they might think that Apple's great or they hate Apple or whatever, but they're not really going to do development or fix anything. But these are important people we have to interact with. Okay. This is the brand new person. Okay. I don't know where butterflies and bugs is at, but if I had to guess, she's probably actually not there. She's probably in here, would be my guess. So the idea is that right here, you build a solution and it works. And if it works, it doesn't even matter if it's ugly. That interface is black and white. It's ugly. But does it work and does it solve a problem that you had to do manually before? Then it's like high fives all around, people clapping, cheering. Awesome. Welcome to success. Success feels good. Then you start adding, and so this person over here goes, well, be real. So, because you got it working for yourself. Then this person comes to you and says, well, actually, what happens is your other coworkers over here, not another developer, this another coworker goes, and they're looking over your cubicle or your office, and they look at your stuff, and they're like, oh, say, that's a really nice software you have. Could I use that too to help me? And you're like, yes, of course I can, because I'm an awesome developer. And so you agree to help them. And so they get a copy, but instead you post it on a server so you could share the data. So now you have two people that are happy. And then another person comes to you and says, I heard Sally said that she's using some magical and it's so amazing and you're awesome. Can I have it too? Third person, fourth person, fifth person. Then this person comes over and finds out that their staff is using some software they don't know anything about. Hey, butterflies and bugs, what are you doing? And am I paying for this? And what is this stuff? And then you explain to them. And this person goes, holy shit, I could save a ton of time and money with FileMaker. So then it goes to 10 people. It's awesome. Then it goes to 20 people or 30 people. And somewhere in there, and then this is like 6 months, a year later, you're in this area over here. You might be over here a little bit, maybe over here. Somewhere the performance starts to slow down. And then you go back and you're trying to figure out why it slowed down. And you get all these opinions on the internet. But then you find this live stream at 1 o'clock and this guy named Richard, who's mostly bald, horrifically misshapen face. I look like some sort of Frankenstein. However, he doesn't seem like a total asshole. And he seems like he might have your best interest in mind. Imagine that. A person who you're not paying who actually wants to help you. Shocking. Pretty rare, actually. So then Richard explains like, hey, that spider diagram you built? I'm glad it was super great here and here and here and here. And somewhere in here or in here, it's not so good for performance. So then today's conversation is about how to unwind this. A number of people, Jess is one of them. She's another person here. I don't know if she's here, had a job. They came in and this was what was waiting for them. And so they have been unwinding it. And this is the technique to unwind it. Problem is butterflies and bugs sees this and they freak out because she's already said that she prefers the demos where I start from scratch. The whole concept with today's conversation is not starting from scratch. You've already been handed a sandwich. It's slow. And the boss wants it to go faster. And they want to add another 30 people to it. And they want to add the people who are on the East Coast, the West Coast, or Australia or India to access it too. So it's slow with what they have, and B, they want to add more people to it because it's FileMaker and you're doing so great and it's so cost effective and so amazing. All that is normal. You should expect it to happen.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with it at all. But then you end up at a show and I'm walking you through the process of this. So if you don't have any performance issues and you understand how it's designed up here, then don't worry about today. But in the back of your mind, you should know that someday, if you're driving your car like Thelma and Louise and it goes off the cliff, then there's a show that talks about how to bring it back off the cliff, unwind that, and then fix it and make it fast.
Yes.
The progression of learning. Rick Howman, what we're talking about the other day, because there was this movie, I got to go find the movie, the Problemista movie, and where the artist people wanted to spend no time investing in it, but they wanted to magically solve all their problems. And they talk about this in this movie because the guy who wrote and acted in the movie, who's pretty talented, thought that FileMaker was the same as Google Sheets, which it's not even close, and that it should magically work with about 5 minutes of working on it because because everyone loves it. Everyone loves it because you can creatively solve problems with it. But it's like, I'm mad. I'm learning the piano. Well, why are you mad at? I'm not a super awesome person yet. How long you been playing piano? Oh, well, I started 2 days ago. Learning an instrument takes a while. This is not an overnight deal. If there's an overnight deal, we wouldn't have to do a daily live stream.
We have more questions, by the way. So
Oh, what questions?
yeah, but this is a popular topic. Okay, so
Questions a popular topic, or this what we're doing today is a popular topic.
what we're doing is a popular topic. It's an issue I think everyone begins to run into eventually if you sit on your database long
If
enough.
you keep working in FileMaker and you keep making it better, and people want to use it, and they start using it, this day is coming for every last one of you.
Yeah, you will naturally give birth to a spider. Ricardo, is this worth the amount of work instead of just starting over?
That is a really great question. I let me answer it this way. This solution right here, I would probably do it the way I'm doing it because you're having progress on it. But if the solution is multi-file, right? Probably what I would do is rebuild it. But there's some processes where you can take all the field definitions and add tables and combine it and consolidate together. That's kind of another conversation we can have, but it's a big conversation. And someone like butterflies and bugs, I mean, we would understand it. The point with all this is that all of you are not going to be able to walk out of here and immediately do this, but I want you to know that A, this was a conversation, B, it's recorded, and C, you can come back to this later when you need it. I think if it's the FileMaker 6 solution that was 30 files, like FM starting point, understand back in the old days, so and people understand what here is the kind of the issue that pops up with stuff is that historically, why are there all these solutions out there that are multi-file? Okay. Because once upon a time, FileMaker was not as awesome as it is now. People keep asking, should I update? Yes, please update. Then the new version of FileMaker come out. There's all sorts of security fixes that are in it, amongst a bunch of new features. Well, I don't know if I'm going to put money on it. I always like to encourage the people who build great software to keep going, right? I mean, I understand like dealing with Apple and Claris is not really Apple. They all wear Apple badges here. Apple is a company that builds a device for $100 and charges $1,000 for it. Okay. Claris runs a lot more lean and they don't bone people on the prices. The problem is that Apple products are so good. Thank you, Steve Jobs and Tim Cook and all the people who've come through there that that we're willing to pay the $1,000. A lot of us are, right? FileMaker, luckily, is not that expensive, but the return on investment is just amazing. So if I go over here to host, I go to recent. All right. So here's one right here. So back in the day, if you go to file, manage, database, FM starting point. Well, this is back to the days of FileMaker 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that if I go over here to tables, a file, an FM, I'll say FMP12, but a FileMaker file could have one table. This this little tab didn't exist. When you went into define fields, you went to here, and you're in the file called invoice line items. So there was a file for invoices, which was a table. There's a file for invoice line items. There's a file for contacts. There's a file for prefs. So all these were actually files. You're like, holy, yeah, it was a giant mess. So that's why when you build new, you can build into a single file or maybe two or three files if you have a really good reason for breaking it out. But that's why. So when you see a solution that's got 30 files in it, that means that probably was given birth back prior to 2000, and it was a FileMaker something older, and it kept upgrading it. Okay, doesn't mean you have to throw it away, but managing a single file versus like here's the deal. So all these files are here. All these say these each one of these is a file. Well, we're going to change the security administrative password on the solution. You got to change it in the security dialog for every file.
You can't
You
necessarily
have
say
to do the same
that.
thing 30 times over.
That's a mess.
Yes. Well, that's why in starting in FileMaker 7, I'm going to prop my feet up here, starting in FileMaker 7, Claris allowed us to consolidate everything together. Other questions?
I built a system that is 40 tables and it's all spider webbed together. Great table naming, so it makes perfect sense to me. But
Perfect.
it needs to be maintained by a non-developer.
Oops.
There are 80 plus table occurrences.
Okay.
I think he's asking, is you have a naming scheme in mind that would help a non-developer maintain the file?
You're asking me if someone who can't fly a Black Hawk helicopter can crawl it and fly it. And I'm like, probably not. I mean, it certainly wouldn't be legal. in the world of FileMaker, there's no law that says you can't take a FileMaker file and dump it on someone who has no idea what they're doing. So,
I mean, that's how a lot of people find us eventually. So
well, I understand the question. I just don't. I mean, that's like, I don't. What do I
I
say?
yeah, I don't
But
know.
I always want to say something that will help you. But literally, if I'm understanding the question, how does someone who's not a developer maintain this? And I'm like, I don't know how they do that, right? I mean, that's wishful thinking. I mean, here's the deal. If you don't do maintenance, then eventually, if not, because you give it to someone who can't maintain it, but the solution works, then you need to get a developer who's going to periodically update you to the newer version. There's a big risk in not ever updating. It's called technical debt. You get too far behind. It's a penguin. It's the Club Penguin video where you're on an iceberg and then the iceberg breaks off from the Antarctica or the North Pole or wherever the penguins are at, and it starts floating away into the Atlantic Ocean. And it kind of migrates because there's a kind of this current that goes to the Atlantic Ocean and circulates around the planet. Well, when the iceberg breaks off, it goes, that's what the Titanic hit, right? Back in the big cruise ship that went to the bottom back like 100 years ago, right? That thing hit an iceberg that broke off. Well, that's the way it is with FileMaker. Say that some of you are on FileMaker 19, right? Well, it's already broken off. It's just about not supported to the iceberg is starting to float away, but your penguin can still see the other end, right? That
Mhm.
where the current version is. So it can get out there and swim. A 20-minute swim, it's there, it's good. Not too much work. But say you never upgraded. You never upgraded. Say you're on FileMaker 7, you never upgraded. That penguin, the ice is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's a great analogy because FileMaker, new operating systems, new computers, is FileMaker going to always work, right? FileMaker 10 won't even run on this computer right here. It runs for about 8 seconds and it crashes every last time.
Well, my laptop can't run 17. I used to have 17 installed on it, and it told me to go.
Well, your penguin is now in the water, not on the
Yeah.
iceberg anymore. Now it has
So
to swim or it dies.
don't get
And
eaten by the
if
technical
it
debt field.
dies, you say, well, screw that penguin, kill it, let it drown, go to the North Pole or South Pole or whatever, and start all over with a new solution. That's eventually where this goes. If you are the penguin, you're on the ice and you're floating away, the farther you get away from the current version, the harder it is for you to swim back. That's the whole point. And eventually it quits working.
Yeah, and then you get eaten by the technical debt orcas. Which is bad.
Okay.
Uh, question from Ken. Once you have duplicated everything, fixed fields, scripts, etc., you finish the rebuild. How do you switch people over?
Well, it's real simple. You're over here on the
You go to the home and you swap
on the
the.
home screen and you have a button over here. Like this is a really interesting interface. You press it, then he has a pop-up window that allows you to pick which part of the button, I guess, you can go to. But you'd rewire. Oh, that one was right there. This one right here, registration checkout goes to the invoices. You just change this layout, or you take this button, right, and you duplicate the button. You leave there, take the original one, move it off the side, so it's over there as a backup in case you foobar and you want to wind backwards. This is your undo, and then you would change this one to go to the new deal, right? In
Yeah.
fact, you don't have to wait all at the end. You could, as you finish a section, you could make it live and see what happens. Jacob Taylor calls it squeal testing. Is when your users start testing something and they start squealing. If they squeal like, right, then you know that it didn't work.
It didn't work very well. I think we're good. So,
Are we mostly good?
yeah, I think we're mostly good.
Some of you have questions about this. You want to pick it up tomorrow a little bit. Shoot us questions. Send us your thoughts or comments to support@rcconsulting.com.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do. Thank you, everybody. We will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
relational.